Scott Blair here, and
Donray Bennett, kids are back at school, so am
yes,
I. Let's go. Got a lot
eh,
to cover.
we do. And the sports season is hot and just a whole lot of action going on. We are going to start with a little bit of some sad news. This is part of the inspiration, even for us to record today on this Labor Day. Those of us who've been connected with the Kutztown University athletics family might be waking up to some really sad news today that KU legend, Coach Steve Hahn, passed away over the weekend. And we just wanted to take a minute to just send our condolences to his family, of course, but just also prayers and lifting up positive vibes because Coach Hahn was just an amazing basketball mind. I enjoyed watching him do his thing
Hmm.
when he was coaching and doing individual instruction, but just a good person, just a good
Yeah.
person. So my thoughts, Donray, what you got?
Yeah. Rest in paradise. You knew him
Yeah,
better than I, but every interaction was just great, like wholesome. There's just positive energy. I think everyone in life hopefully knows someone like that. Um, just positive all around. Um, And then his ability to interact with players, again, you were closer to the action, but from afar, I like to people watch. I love to watch the bench, similar to Gino Oriema in terms of picking up a lot from player character and whatnot. And he was a titan of that. I didn't get to see him in his former coaching days in terms of head coaching. I think you mentioned off air that he may have some sort of tie to Reading or
yep,
whatnot. I only saw him in his KU days, but yeah, lost one, but they gained one up there. So
yeah,
you
truth.
know, best wishes out to those who may be hurting from it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And yeah, I was blessed to see him do his thing on the court, but it's really the conversations I had with him on game days when he was working the table after his time coaching at Kutztown that I enjoyed the most. I'm going to share one. It was a couple days after Kobe Bryant died. I think about this exchange quite a bit, especially for those of us who have been involved with Kutztown. There's just stuff. I'll just leave
Mm.
it at that. But when Kobe Bryant died, myself and Coach Salam, I think, and maybe Coach York, I'm trying to think of all the people, we were just asking, hey, can we take a moment of silence to honor Kobe? Um, Kutztown said no. So just put that one over here. It's a conversation for another day. But I went up to Coach Hahn and he's like, what's wrong? And I just said, I'm really bothered by the fact that we can't just take a minute to honor Kobe. And he said to me something of the sort of, some people don't realize it's the little things that matter, something of that sort. And I don't remember exactly what he said. It was something like that. I just remember how it made me feel, right? And it was
Mhm.
just a affirmation that, hey, how you're feeling is also how I'm feeling. And I think that's Steve in a lot of ways. He
Mhm.
just always was looking out for everyone else. And yeah, rest in peace.
And he was
It's funny.
especially between the programs
Amazing.
at KU, there's a little history there for those that
Yeah.
know between the women's and the men's
Yep.
program. Um, it's a little contentious or has been historically. He was really a gap bridger,
Hmm.
if I may say so myself. Outside looking in, okay? Again, I'm not in the trenches or I haven't been in the trenches like you per se, but outside looking in, he seemed to be an individual that um,
Cared
was a
about
good
people.
conduit
Yeah, he
between
cared
the
about
between the
people.
programs. Yep, because he cared about people, cared about the players, cared about you more than the game itself.
Yeah, yeah. Encyclopedia of knowledge. I remember we would just ask him questions about compliance, and he would just pull things. I'm like, wow, how did he
Yeah,
just citing like bylaw 6A,
yeah,
B, whatever, just amazing. And he was great on the mic too, color commentary, especially for football and a little bit of basketball. So rest in peace,
yep.
Steve.
All right.
And in that spirit, let's talk about hoops. Right? Let's start with some
Okay.
hoops. So
Let's start with hoops.
let's talk about WNBA. So I think they've got just like 2 weeks left of their regular season, if my calculations are
Hmm.
correct. The Olympics has passed us by, which created a needed break for some of the players who didn't compete. And one of those players in particular would be Caitlin Clark, who's currently leading the league in assists. I think she actually broke the record for most assists in a season, especially for a rookie. And she's chucking threes from all over the place, and it's going really, really well for her. And her team is finally above 500. Had some really good wins this week. But that's my quick reflection. I'm thinking, hey, U.S. basketball, you should have put her on the team, but you didn't. And thanks, because I think she's actually gotten better because of that, because she was able to rest, because she hadn't had a break since October from her college basketball season. So the WNBA season's looking pretty good. I think it's going to close out well before they start the playoffs. What you got? What are you thinking?
I think you hit the nail on the head. WNBA is like any other sport in the US going from college to professional in that there is no break. There's basically no break if you play deep into the tournament as Caitlin Clark did with Iowa last year. Obviously, the deepest you can go. If you go that deep, then you're being drafted and playing within a month, not even a couple weeks. And so that break did her well. She is She's hitting her stride. She's taken a team that had a record almost 200 straight games without being over 500, having a winning record, and now they're there. She's filling up the stats. She's filling up the buckets with better shooting percentage and double-digit assists while still scraping the boards. I mean, it is phenomenal. I'm glad to see her hitting her stride, and her team is winning. They were a joke of a franchise, and now they're in playoff contention and will be there. I mean, I know everyone likes to try to pit her and Angel Reese. I don't even think they're in the same stratosphere.
Right.
It's a joke to even bring that up, in my opinion. And it's not a shot at Angel Reese. It's like, and I'm not calling Caitlin Clark Jordan by no
Mm-mm.
means, but you don't compare Jordan to Lou Williams because Lou Williams is one of the best six men that we've ever seen and can do so many things, certain things well. And like you just don't compare them to. And I'm not saying Caitlin is that, but when you have two athletes that play the same sport, play it differently, affect their team differently, it's just night and day. And so I don't want to hear any of the Reese talk. Um, Clark is doing, her team's
Yeah.
winning, man. And
Yeah.
she is hitting her stride, man. I hope they make a deep run in the playoffs.
Yeah, yeah, because they look crisp and clean, and I think the rest did that whole team well, right? Um, but yeah, let's talk about Angel real quick. And I know we talked about this a little bit off air. Oftentimes, when we're seeing athletes, even male, female, and similar in the same sport, we try and do a comparison. You know, whether it's Caitlin Clark's shooting and passing ability with Steph Curry, and I think we talked off air about Angel and Dennis Rodman, even about how prolific of a rebounder she is. More than one thing can be true, right? That, and some people are throwing some shade at Angel because she does miss a little bit around the basket and gets her own rebounds, but
It's how she misses too. It's ugly.
then there's that too, yeah.
Okay, but I'm sorry.
No,
Continue.
there's that, right? Which is it's just kind of, but she is tenacious on the boards. Like part of me, actually a lot of me, wishes that let's just focus on that. She is tenacious on the boards. And what I love watching her is when that shot goes up, you can see her. She's eyeballing it. She's like, all right, where's this thing going? I'm going to get it. That's amazing because not a lot of people have that fight. So that's fun to watch. I do enjoy watching that. I do wish, and that'll come hopefully with some off-season work and things like that, especially with Coach Spoon in the off-season. We all appreciate her, right, from her time with the Liberty. But I'm excited for the season because we got some squads, right? We got the Liberty, although they kind of tripped up against the Sparks earlier this week. Oh, we got to see them in person last week. Completely forgot about that. They lost against Connecticut. That wasn't a great game to watch. But I'm intrigued by the Seattle Storm. If you're going to ask me for a dark horse, I'm intrigued by the Seattle Storm now that they signed Gabby Williams, who hadn't played at the beginning of the year because she was with the French national team. So let's see how the season plays out.
Yeah, it's interesting to see that transpire. Saying there's a little bit of, I don't know how true it was, but the backstory to Gabby being out there and why she didn't, her choices to play out there. But um, the one thing before we move on
Oh yeah,
is the thing with Angel Reese
yeah, yeah.
is I have nothing against her, especially as a rookie. I mean, great.
Mhm.
But my reservation with her is that her shortcomings in terms of, her shot selection or how she shoots or her inefficiency, that has been for years. Like,
Yeah, that's fair.
where
Going
is the
back to
development? Can I would like from basketball minds out there, comment section or just or pundits, show me or speak to me. Maybe you have a better eye than me. Her development, you can take the last 3 years. Just show me where she's improved her shot selection, her shot efficiency, her her offensive package. Because if she hasn't, then like you said, she's a tenacious rebounder, and let's just keep it at that. Or maybe her defense has improved. Maybe, I don't know. But I don't see much growth and development. I see someone who has
fair.
talent and is living off that talent. Um, but I don't know if she's going to get better. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, it's because of social media. Oh, it's this. Or she's not in the gym. I don't know. What I know is that my eyes suggest that she's very similar to the player I saw get a chip 3, 4 years ago now.
Two. Yeah.
Three,
Three. Okay. Recently. So
recently. Two.
yeah.
Maybe it
Yeah.
is two. You're right. Has it been two?
I think so. I
Yeah,
can't
because
remember.
South Carolina and
We
then
we getting old. You can tell from the
I
grays in our
know.
hair, man.
Regardless, I don't see the development. So we'll see. Hopefully she well, I'm wishing her well, but
Yeah. Truth. Truth.
there's a lot of other players doing well in this league that
Mm.
are not getting the limelight that they should get, mainly because between Clark, Reese, um, they're dominating it. So
Stewie, Aja, Wilson. Skylar Diggins has a little resurgence this year at Seattle Storm. Good to see her back. But yeah, let's see. Also,
yeah,
the postseason's right around the corner. So
I'm waiting for that. That's what
yeah,
I'm really.
nice.
All right, well, let's keep it
Yeah,
moving.
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
keep
Let's.
it
What you
moving
got? What you
because
got?
there's two other things we need to cover. Obviously, baseball season's winding down. We got about 2 weeks left, 3 weeks left, 15 games or so left for most squads. Um, and I think cream is rising to the top. Some teams are suffering
Mm.
some setbacks, like my Phils, a lot of injuries, some pitching concerns, bats going silent at unnecessary times, but nevertheless, they maintain a 7 game lead in the division after just taking last night Atlanta in extra innings, taking them down. Your Yankees are up there, even though they're like 3-7 in the last 10, they're still at the top of
Five and
the
five.
division. Are they 5-5?
Yeah.
I was looking at the whole
They win one, then
the
they
whole
lose.
the
Yeah.
whole AL is either 500 or below 500 in their
Except
last
for
10,
yeah,
and then in the last 10,
yeah.
and then the whole NL is pretty much the exact opposite. So
Yo,
um,
that's wild. I just pulled up the stats. There are only three, four teams above 500. Two of them are the bottom feeders, the Toronto Blue Jays and the Detroit Tigers.
yep.
So that's wild.
As a whole, the AL, but it's I like to see what's going on. And as you approach September
Wow.
baseball, it's who's hitting their stride.
Yeah.
And so last 10 is really, for me, very indicative of what they're coming into Red October with.
Yeah. I'm gonna share my surprise and I'm cheering for the Phillies. I am. I mean, I'm a Yankee fan, but I'm also cheering for the Phillies. I, there's a little bit of me that's got a little flag saying "Go Brewers" because they're like a half game behind best record in the NL, and I had no idea that they've got a 9 game
They've been,
lead.
yeah,
I don't know where I've been. I just hadn't
you,
paid attention to that.
them and the Cubs have surged.
Yeah,
The Mets have surged out of nowhere. They're a game out of the playoffs. The Braves are only up a game in the
1 game.
playoff race at all. Excuse me, in the wild card race. You're right. The Brewers are playing great baseball. I mean, the Padres, the whole NL West. It's really baseball is really. I go back and forth as to how much these wild cards I'm appreciative of. Teams like the Phils needed it the last couple of years, and they came in hot, so they did damage. Or Arizona last year. Um, but it does keep things interesting, especially when you got a number of good teams. It's good to have it. So
Good
yeah,
teams and new teams, right? Because right now, if the playoffs started today, you'd have the Phillies and Dodgers, but then you would have the Brewers, Arizona would be back, the Padres, and the Braves.
yep.
And in the AL, you would have, again, the Yankees. I think the Astros are sitting in there. And I forget who's leading out west. But then you potentially have the Orioles, the Twins, and the Kansas City Royals, who haven't made the playoffs since they won the World Series in 2015. So
Yep. Yep.
amazing.
And the Mets and Braves are one game apart. So
Yeah,
if you
right there.
flip them, if the Mets can somehow secure that spot, that's another new team replacing a competitor from last year. So
Yeah.
it's
And the,
getting wild, it's getting dynamic. Let's hear your pick. So who do you got
oh, and
who
the
do you got
Cubs.
coming out of the East? Do you think Baltimore Yanks can hold off Baltimore?
It's a coin flip at this point because they have just been neck and neck since late May. I think the season ends with them playing against each other.
Ooh.
I'm actually pulling up the schedule to see. Um, yeah, the end of September, they have a 3-game series in New York. That's probably gonna call it. So whoever wins that comes out. I the Yankees need it, so they'll figure something out. Um, I'm just intrigued. I hope the Cubs can get back into the playoffs too. That'd be fun. But yeah, let me go. Let me pick the Yankees. But I still see a scenario where the Yankees Orioles play each other in the playoffs
Mm,
because they're that
okay.
good.
Wow.
How about you?
Nice.
What are you thinking? You feel good about the Phillies? Tom York, they got the
Yeah.
best record in the league.
Yeah.
No
I
wild
feel
card this year. No wild card.
I feel good about the Phils. They are, well, right now the Dodgers actually are one game up on them for the overall, but I think they'll be fine at the end. I think I'm going to call, maybe this is wishful thinking, even though I can't stand either team. I think the Mets somehow supplant the Braves, and if the Braves are going to make the playoffs, it's
Mm,
going to be because they caught
that'd be cool.
somebody in the West, Diamondbacks or the Padres. So that would be good for baseball. I'd like to see that. And then of course I'm going to be show my bias and say the Phils are coming out. But in the AL, I have no clue because teams like Houston, regardless of where they finish, tend to make that run.
Yeah.
But considering I'm out in Northeast Ohio, I'm pulling for a Phillies Guardians World Series. That way, um, I get the vibes and maybe I can get to a game.
I I do not cheer for Cleveland, mostly because of the fans who still want to wear gear from the previous mascot. I think they do it on purpose now, just to fan the flames of things. So I hope Cleveland doesn't make it. I hope they're gone. I want Cleveland gone. I'm going to tap into my inner Joakim Noah, who vacations in Cleveland anyways. So, um, but
Wow.
yeah, Houston's. Oh, that's right. I forgot that the Seattle Mariners had slipped a little bit because they had a bit of a lead there on the West. Now it's the Astros, but we'll see. It's exciting. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Yankees, so I've said that on here. I think since the season started, I've got confidence in the Phillies. They're riding something. We'll see.
Yeah.
A lot of intriguing storylines for sure.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, let's get into
the
the
last
the
I know
last
we're
piece.
excited for it. I know we're excited.
Absolutely. College football is back. We had a great kickoff with in Ireland with Florida State losing last second field goal to Georgia Tech. And then we go into the first full weekend where you've got everything from Clemson um, getting smacked around by Georgia to uh, Miami actually showing signs of being maybe
Mhm.
serious. Um,
Looking
what
good.
did you see this first weekend, and what were you excited about?
I saw the end of the Clemson dynasty, if there really was one. Clemson's done. Dabo Sweeney, you got to use the transfer portal for however we feel about the transfer portal. You got to use it. Clemson's got to figure things out because that was just bad against Georgia. Georgia's still Georgia. I was interesting to see Penn State as former resident of Pennsylvania. Penn State's a thing here, right? So just to watch, it's like they threw the ball a little bit because that was one of their issues last year. They couldn't throw the ball downfield. They did. West Virginia's no joke. They've got a good program. It was in Morgantown.
And it was in Morgantown, yeah.
Yeah, right. I was intrigued by LSU, USC, and also the Notre Dame comeback against Texas A&M was really good. But I'm gonna share. There's been a lot of noise about the ACC and who's going to come out. There is one team who I seriously believe is going to make a run, and it is my team, and it's the Orange. They have been overlooked, and I'm telling you. And let me just share some names for those of you who are not familiar with the Syracuse Orange football team. They've got a
Most of
solid,
us.
solid coach in Fran Brown, although I wish it was Coach Chesney, formerly of Holy Cross, but glad it's Fran Brown as well. They got McCord, former Ohio State Buckeye quarterback. Solid, solid, solid. He threw 4 touchdowns on Saturday, granted against Ohio. The question with Syracuse is their defense. But offensively, you've got Allen right in the backfield, fantastic running back, very, very highly skilled running back. And then his receiving core is amazing. The standout in particular is a name that many of us NFL fans from the 90s will remember, Aronde Gadsden Jr., the second, right? Sitting there at
Wow.
tight end,
Okay.
huge target.
Okay.
Pena, number two, at wide receiver. They've got some tools on offense. And again, with McCord, who's just really, really, really good, solid quarterback. The fact he's not at Ohio State anymore is wild. So I just keep an eye on Syracuse, and they offensively they look good on Saturday. Let's see if they can just continue to develop. I'm just intrigued by that team. So, but again, my takeaways: USC, wow. Let's see how that builds up because them and Penn State are meeting up on October 12th. Let's see if they both can stay
Hmm.
undefeated between now and then. So,
Well, yeah, there's a lot of great things.
you're
I
funny.
was,
You're
I
trying to be nice about my Syracuse hot take, and that's all right.
actually I appreciate your reasoning. I didn't realize they had to transfer quarterback. I didn't realize, I didn't know any of that stuff, and I think most of America didn't. So, but they played good ball last year, so it's not like it's. I
And
mean,
they always falter at the end. That's the problem. They come out hot and then they drop off. So,
it's promising, right? And as long as they're putting up the points, so and they have the environment in that dome, back in the McNabb days that it can be. It's not easy. It's not normal to play, and that's for sure. It's not something that they could have a good um advantage with. So I'm hoping for you. I was happy to see. I just like. I'm glad when great teams are great, but I'm really happy when good teams um have potential because it makes the year much more interesting. I don't think there's any. I mean, Akron. I know that the final score was, but if you watch the game,
mhm.
they played Ohio State well.
Yes, they did.
Their defense actually played well. Turnovers second half really dug them in, and some untimely poor decisions I should say.
Yeah.
But Akron actually played well, definitely played well the first quarter. First half, their defense played solid. They're just on the field the whole time, and their offense would move the ball and then get in their own way. Um, Really, the defensive line for Ohio State is what
Yeah.
won them. It is what dominated. I don't think they dominated other aspects of the game, but their defensive line was amazing. That Sawyer kid on the edge was just a menace. But so I want to say this: if we're going to keep it
Keep it 100, as the kids
keep
say.
it 100, and for the home team, um, Akron Zips.
Let me swallow first. Go ahead. All right.
You
Make sure I don't spit this out
you're
before
not
you
going to
say.
be the punching bag of the MAC this
Okay.
year.
Yeah.
What I saw this past Saturday against Ohio State wasn't you played like that, and I see a winning record, 6-5, 6-6. I know
Okay.
that'd be 500, but you're getting 6 wins this year, and you're going to become bowl eligible. I don't know if you're going to a bowl game, but you're going to become bowl eligible, and I'm calling it now a winning a winning record in the MAC. I'll say that,
That works.
which would be amazing.
That would be amazing. And again, let's salute James Madison. Big win against Charlotte. We're both huge fans of Coach Chesney. John Smith.
Yes,
Um,
yes,
so keep it rolling. Keep it rolling. I think they have
yes.
North Carolina in a couple weeks. So
I'm definitely pulling for them. And Holy Cross came up short against Rhode Island this weekend, but still got love for Holy Cross as well. But yes, James Madison, uh, Coach Chesney, and that whole team, Dukes,
yes, go
shout
Dukes.
out.
And to my niece, who's down there chilling as a first year student, Emerson, hopefully you're enjoying JMU. And
That's
quick shout
wild.
out to Wayne Fletcher, Central Dolphins greatest. Wayne Fletcher, hope you're living well. Shout out to
Wow.
Wayne Fletcher.
Yeah. Much love to Wayne. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah. So this is a good episode, a whole lot of content. This is good. We got a lot to
Yes.
make up for. So, any last closing thoughts? I know we always like to end with a hot take before we wrap
For
up.
those of you in fantasy football land,
I was waiting for
here's
this.
here's what I'm going to say. There's a young man that's gotten into a lot of people's hearts because of things he said or done on social media, Keon Coleman. Um, Let the record show that yes, he's great to root for. If you just follow him, seems like a wholesome dude. But he's going in late rounds. I'm talking 9, 10, 11 in mock drafts here and there, and two drafts I was already in. That young man is extremely talented, strong, and smart. Especially if you have a rookie keeper league or anything like that. Keon Coleman will be the number one target by week 4. By week 3 for Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills, and I'm saying he's going to be there, putting up some pretty impressive numbers.
Nice.
Keon Coleman will outperform Malik Neighbors this year. I said it, you heard it here first, and he will be probably the second most prolific rookie receiver behind Marvin Harrison. Draft him, get him if you can get him in round 9, take him and stash him away. By week 4, he's going to be uh, a threat.
I
You?
know. I love that. I love that. Shout out to Ricky Pearsall, right? Glad he's doing well and
Oh
got
yeah.
released. So shout
Yeah.
out to there. And thoughts to his family. Oh, and shot. Oh, geez, we completely missed this. To the hockey family. Um,
Oh,
yeah, just the
go.
loss. Yeah, yeah. It's just hard. Just thoughts and prayers to that awful tragedy in Jersey on. I think that was Friday. Goudreau,
Yeah.
right? The Goudreau family.
Yeah.
Um, but thinking of a closing take. If the Bears lose next weekend, don't call me for a while. Or if Caleb Williams looks bad, don't talk to me for like 2 months. But a lot of hope and a lot of hope, a lot of hope. Again, the Chicago Bears are the only NFL franchise to have never had a 4,000-yard passer. Hopefully that changes this year. We'll see. But a lot of hope. All of Chicagoland is excited. There's a lot of excitement there. So if they lose, I don't know what we're going to do with ourselves on next Sunday, but keeping our fingers crossed. Next 6 days, a lot of optimism. That's my
Well,
closing take. So
all right. Well, good luck to the Bears and everyone enjoy. Football season's back.
it's back. You smell that? Fall is here. Football season's back.
All right.